Hey everybody, it's episode 353.
We're talking connection without the cost.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Prime Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Skip Weiss, and as always, I have the beautiful Dr. Julie Weiss with me today, and you hit it right away in that title, Connection Without Cost. This time of year can be very stressful on couples.
Could be expensive.
Can be very expensive. Yeah, you're not kidding.
Cha-ching.
Like things get expensive. This is when people get a lot of stress because finances are involved.
I feel like in the preface of this podcast, it should just have like $1 sign, not the $4 sign.
$1 sign. Should be no dollar signs.
Well,
Like
there's
gift giving gets blown out of the
Yeah.
gets completely blown out of proportion. Like we have family that they refuse to do anything holiday related unless there's gifts involved.
or to spend money. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yep.
What do you mean you don't want to give gifts this year? Do we have to? Like, do we have to give gifts? Can we not just spend time with each other and enjoy each other and maybe just create an experience instead of gifts?
It's a hard tradition
Mhm.
to change, and so you
Mhm.
need to hear both sides of the story, but for that other person to also understand when there isn't really a need or a want
Mhm.
of, well, how else can we help both parties to be able to have an experience, or to do, like, if they want to give something, well, let's do this as the giving thing. I think sometimes it just needs to be reprogrammed or reformatted for them to understand, instead of giving this, let's do this instead.
Yeah, and that's when relationships start pulling apart because you're not understanding their love language.
Yes.
And, some people's love language is gifting.
Mm.
As much as getting them, they love giving them. But sometimes people are really weird about this because they don't like getting them, they like giving them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really enjoy giving gifts. And you have to understand that. Like if that's that person's love language and they love giving gifts, then maybe we need to have a conversation of, okay, I know you love giving me gifts. I know that's a big thing for you. But let's just keep it small. I don't need a lot of things. How about just a gift card to the gas station?
Well, and
You
that's,
know?
so then it can be, well, that's too practical. But then, like,
Yeah,
give
but-
give the range, or here's the list of acceptable items.
Yeah, but then
right?
they don't pay attention to it either.
Right.
And then you show up and there's just two massive, 3-foot things in your house that you don't need, that you literally don't need. And then that just adds
True
to the
life.
consumerism of what things are.
Right.
And was your relationship, so this is about couples. And there's a lot of different things you can define couples, like me and you,
Mm-hmm.
like people that are in love with each other, that type of couple. Is there a couple in a friendship?
Mm-hmm.
Is there couples in business?
Mhm.
Are you just going to give them a canister of nuts? Like, is that the gift you
Turkey.
give? Like, I would enjoy a canister of nuts. You want to get me a canister of cashews? Awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love beef sticks. Get me some consumables. Like, I really like food, right? And I like obscure things, obscure foods. So not your traditional stuff, but understanding that also comes with an expense,
Mhm.
right? And this can go in a lot of different ways. But let's talk about finances first, and then we'll get into love languages. You cool with that?
Mhm.
So let's talk finances, because finances can be really hard in relationships, especially when somebody has a healthy relationship with money and an unhealthy relationship with money.
I think it's first to set the expectation, right? And I
Right.
think that's the struggle. Like, if it's a new relationship or you've been married for 25, 30 years,
Mhm.
I think it's understanding what the expectation is, and actually, for once, maybe being honest. When
Yeah.
you say, no, honey, that's okay, what's that really mean? Right?
What does that mean?
Well, I think
What does that really mean?
I think that's well, we're married. You're supposed to know what that means, right? And I think
I think that gets even harder.
correct. So that's what I'm saying. Like, for once, ladies, women, maybe say the thing, write it down, and be positive and short, instead of playing the mind games. And that that's like, we try to teach our kids that, to like say what you want.
Yep.
right? Otherwise, the world is going to give you what it thinks you want.
Yeah, it's going to give you what it thinks you need.
Mm-hmm.
And that may not be the water you need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we've talked about communication. It's a huge thing. One of the hardest things in a relationship is a maybe. It's a maybe. Like it is. It's hard because then you don't know which way it goes. To me, if I get a maybe out of somebody, that is a yellow light that could turn to green. But
Never
it could
a
also
red.
change to red really quick.
Yeah.
But I think it has a stronger chance of going green. So I'm going to do what I can to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if somebody gives me a maybe, like you want to go to eat tonight, maybe. Well, then I got to think about in my mind, like, do I really want it? If I really want it, I'm just going to take the person because they just want the decision made for themselves instead of them just trying to make the decision for you. And when it comes to couples and relationships with money, one is usually honest and the other one isn't. And an easy way to bypass that is to just not talk about it or spend frivolously and then just say, oh, it's the holidays.
And reap the consequences later.
Yes, and guess what comes after the holidays?
The bill.
The bill. And then guess what comes after the holiday bills?
Resentment.
And taxes.
Oof.
Like that, sorry, but
Yeah.
that's a truth. Taxes come end of March, beginning of April.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when things become really real to people. January is the bill to try to pay it all back. And then in 2.5 short months, you need to figure out what's going to go on with your taxes. And some of you out there are going to have to pay in, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, you have to pay in.
That means you didn't give Uncle Sam a loan,
That means
which
you didn't
is
give
ideal.
Uncle Sam a loan. Yeah. Correct. But most people aren't prepped for that financially in their family because they've taken what they had left at the end of the year and spent it on gifts, which then will cause resentment because if you have somebody in your family that doesn't like getting gifts, now they're pissed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're upset because you didn't have the conversation with them that I wanted to spend money on you or the kids. And that could be a thing of me showing you love.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't like getting gifts, I'm kind of ticked because you spent the money.
Well, and I think that's where setting a budget is important. That communication is definitely important. But actually, like making the list of the things that you want and like really writing those things down, and then that other person maybe sticking to that list. Or what's to say? I don't think in this day and age there's anything wrong with you buying that gift and saying, "Here, wrap this up for me."
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Like it's hard for me to process it because I love surprises. But I think Are you being serious?
I'm joking with you. Yeah.
Oh.
I know you do.
But I think it's kind of like if you don't want somebody to mess something up and you haven't explicitly told that person, just buy it and leave it there with a note saying, wrap this up for me.
Right.
And I think I don't want to speak for most males, but I think you're the outlier that you're really good at gifting. I think most spouses, most males, most husbands struggle in this department to know what to get, and that's the year when you get 4 blenders.
Yeah, well, you
or
get what
3
you don't want.
vacuums.
Somebody buys you socks,
right? Like
and
the practical things.
stuff.
And so I think let's just look, okay, if that's really what you want, it was in the budget, you talked about it, then buy it and then just place it there for that person to wrap it. Number 1, it's going to take the stress off of the spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, it should have fallen within the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, you're going to get exactly what you wanted. And then that just relieves the amount of stress and tension, which ultimately can lead to a better Christmas altogether.
Way better because you both got what you wanted. No stress on your spouse to try to find you the gift that you want. Maybe this was all. I gotta go back and re-listen to this.
You literally buy everything. Yes.
Yeah, but you nailed it with my birthday. You got me exactly what I asked for, which I said I needed this. And then you got me something that I've always wanted, which was a signed baseball bat by my hero, Bo Jackson. So, and I think that's one of the coolest gifts I've ever gotten. And the thing is, though, is that you listened, but 2, you didn't just go off and do something crazy, which is wonderful, which I like to do for you. And let me get something very straight here. Yes, Julie loves surprises, but not the surprises I like to throw, like just jumping out of the shower or jumping in the shower, like surprise. Like those are not the surprises she wants, okay? Those will backfire every time. Or like cold hands on her back, surprise. Nope, not a good situation. but thought out things. And that brings me to this point. Let's say you are on a budget. Let's say you don't have the money to spend on each other. Then there are hundreds of things, thousands of things you can do that don't require money, that just require time. Because there's time, talents, and treasures. And treasures is money. Talents is what you're doing for that person. So you could cook for them, bake for them, do something for them, do chores for them.
Clean, pick
There's
up
your
the kid.
talents.
Yeah,
Yep, that's a big deal because that's a love language, like acts of service.
I was gonna say, or like, what do you do for a trade? Like maybe you're a woodworker, maybe like you're a sculptor, or painter. Like when was the last time you maybe did one of those things for your spouse? If that's
work the hardwoods, get something made nice for them. Come on, like do that, like make something nice for them. That it always is a big thing. That always goes over well. Like Brecken always makes a project with your dad. It always goes over really neat. And people really like that stuff. And that stuff's not expensive to make. If you're a guy, you probably have some spare wood, I hope, laying around. If not, you're those other guys that probably own a Cybertruck. So, figure it out. But put gas in your wife's car. Clean
but time,
it.
right? Time, I think, is important. And again, I don't think our relationship is like most, but I think time is really important because so many spouses just want time together.
Yeah.
And that means like actual time unplugged.
Well, that leads to we've had several divorces happen in the last year with some very dear friends. And I think personally that time is a major factor.
Absolutely.
Time was a major factor in every one of those divorces because there was infidelity in all of them. But it was time. And that time then led to emotional separation or lack of time for one another. When they thought, all of them in those relationships thought that they had clearly communicated what they wanted with each other. Some even gave marriage counseling to people. Yet time was the biggest issue. We even saw it in one section where literally the husband and the wife wanted to spend more time with each other. And they both said the same thing. I wish we could just spend time together and not with other people involved. But I think that's what the other person wants, is that we always need to have somebody around for entertaining. And the other person said the exact same thing, when if they would have just talked and said, you know what, when we're around each other, because they live in a long distance marriage. They have businesses all over the country. And when they were together, they never actually spent time together as much as they did when somebody else was always around. Or somebody else was always visiting. And that destroyed their marriage. It destroyed their relationship. And children can do this too.
When I was just thinking, like, how it sounds cheesy, but how cute was it when your kids were younger and you got the coupon book of like a free hug, I'll draw you a bath, I'll cook dinner. Like, why can't we do that for our spouses, right? Like, no cost. There doesn't have to be strings attached if you don't want. But I think like to go back to it says easy things, but sometimes those are the hardest things. But you have to go back, and in podcasts again that we've done on this, of like go back to dating your significant other.
Yes.
And what are those things? And they don't have to cost money. So make that coupon book.
All of you had a relationship at one point in your relationship where you had no money. Like you were eating ramen. You saved up to take her out to ice cream, to Cold Stone. You saved up. You like kept money aside to take her to a movie. Things like that, or just go on a walk, and that spends time with them. It spends your talents because you're using your creativity to take them on a walk. Maybe you'll do some artwork and pick up some fall leaves and make them a wreath. I don't know. But these are the things that you can do.
I think it's understanding first your significant other's love language. So you can go back to one of our podcasts for that, or you can figure out the love language. And from there, understanding, okay, what needs to be in the coupon book? Is it time? Is it something of a service that you're going to do for that person? Is it a gift? And it can be a homemade gift.
Is it words of affirmation?
Yep.
So did you make them a book that tells them they're awesome every day? Do you tell them they're pretty all the time? Do you do things? You can make them little affirmation jars for them. But these are affirmations for you, for them, from you, for them. Like that's a big thing. Like telling them how important they are in your life or what they do every day to
How
help
great
you.
would that be for 365 days for your significant other to pull something out that maybe you didn't physically say out of your mouth, but you thought it and you wrote it down for them to pull out of there?
Even
And
if
it doesn't
it's
cost anything.
even 365 days, and even if it's 100 days of, hey, I like your butt. Like, you know what I mean?
Mix it
Like,
in, right?
you mix it in, and it's those little things that then add up, and they pay benefits on both sides of it. So it's gifts, acts of service, time, affirmations, and what's the fifth one? We both blanked on it. I can't believe that. Anyways, you got to go back and listen to those episodes that we go over that, because the fifth one's important too. And you know, it's the things that you understand with your spouse, your couple, your significant other, that then take away the holiday stress. Because if you're both gift givers, then you know for a fact you probably should spend some money, like set some expenses aside, like understand that this is an expense.
Set a budget. Yeah.
Set a budget and stick to the budget. Nobody likes that either. Like, if honestly, like if you buy me a $50 gift and we set a budget at $50, and then I turn around and spend $3,000 on a handbag, or like, which might make somebody just completely drop. But those are the bodacious things that some people do. Because if you went outside the budget and they're a budget person, again, they're ticked. Like, we went outside of our budget this year. And did we have the conversation going into it? Like, what is our budget? But what is our budget really? You know, because that's the thing too. Like, what is our legit budget here? Is it $200 a piece? Okay, like that's the budget. There's no wriggle room. No, 200 is the max. Okay, or it could be 150 and the wiggle room's actually 500. Well, then I know I got a little work to do. I can do some things there. I can play with things, but it's understanding
it's
all
the
of
communication.
that. And then, of course, like making sure that this is going to sound so cheesy, but making sure you're getting healthcare together. Do something together that involves your health. Adjustments are huge. Making sure you're seeing your chiropractor, but also walking with each other, working out with one another. And you may not have to work out together, but do it together because you're working out in. I'm trying to think of how to put this. Sorry, but it's trying to. We may not work out at the same time, but we're working out together because we're holding each other accountable, and we're both exercising on the same day. You just might not be in the gym with me, but somebody may actually want that too. Like, I would love working out with you. I think it would be a lot of fun. But you may not want that. Right?
It depends if there's talk involved.
Right. Like, are we talking, or are we just listening to music and grunting over here? Like, what's going on? Like, is it just...
And the things that they do that women are like, oh,
super cheesy? That's what they
super
want.
cheesy, but that's where, like, they usually don't cost anything. It's a bundle up. It's going ice skating. It's going for a walk.
Something
it's getting
warm
hot
is involved.
cocoa. Yes.
Something warm is always involved. Why? Because you don't like being cold. Like, something warm is always there.
Because you make it cozy, right?
Yep. Make it cozy. Make it a little cheesy. Wear a scarf. These are the things that we have been marketed to, that tells us that these are what makes you happy. And unfortunately, that is what it is. But if you can key into that and watch that,
the emotions
behind it, that's the importance of it.
So just do it as research. Watch one Hallmark movie this month as research purposes only, but make sure maybe your significant other is sitting next to you.
Yeah, see what Lindsay Lohan is up to.
Exactly.
There's that one specific guy too.
Yeah.
And there's always one black dude too. I think it's like Trey Diggs. Like, he's in like everything. Yeah, like it's the one guy. So there's the one white guy as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Enjoy this week. It's a very special week. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.